I'm Bambi Francisco with Vader News, and I'm speaking with Reid Hoffman. He's the founder and CEO of LinkedIn, and we're here at the TIE conference down in Santa Clara. Reid, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Well, Reid, you started LinkedIn in 2002, and then you left, but you came back in December of 2008 because you said you didn't want to be behind the CEO jostling him and telling him what to do. So you have big plans for LinkedIn. What are the big plans in 2009?
So our major initiatives this year are groups, which is how do we get companies, universities, professional associations, conferences like TICON, all integrated into the ecosystem of professionals and individuals that we have within LinkedIn, and also the platform, which is the ability to build and deploy applications on LinkedIn and to also integrate LinkedIn off where business is done, whether it's a communications client or another website.
Okay, and you're growing quickly. You have 40 million users.
Over 40 million globally.
Over 40 million users worldwide, and you're adding how many over 17 days, you mentioned?
A million every 17 days.
A million every 17 days, so, and that's not stopping.
No. If anything, it should accelerate.
But your model, let's talk about the revenue model here, because you have a lot of people right now that are actively using the site. You have three business models. What are those? What's driving LinkedIn?
So the three are, we have premium subscriptions, which is when an individual essentially subscribes in order to get enhanced search and communications capabilities, where they're looking for, making a connection to eBay or finding an expert on open source. That kind of thing may lead them to say, I want the more professional extension version. Second is we have LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a software as a service product that we sell to corporations, which helps teams of people essentially recruit better from the network. And then the third is advertising, which is we have, according to many third-party sources, we have one of the best or the best ways to reach a high-income professional demographic.
Super premium demographic.
Yes.
And what's interesting is that's 30-30-30.
Yeah, roughly.
That's interesting. But when you were up on stage, you talked about how you, with these 40 million users, you really don't want them wasting time, as you say, on your site. You really want, LinkedIn wants to be effective in solving problems for them. So what are those ways you're solving problems for them? And then also, how do you monetize around that?
Well, so, for example, we have subscriptions which enhance your search and communications capabilities. So the kinds of problems that a lot of people generally solve are things like, all right, well, I need to get a connection to eBay in order to do a deal, or I'm looking for an advisor for my startup, or I'm looking, if I'm a job seeker, I'm looking for an inside connection to this group or someone at this company so that I can get a reference. If I'm a services professional, I'm looking for clients. All of those are versions of professional search, and all of those tie back to being a premium subscriber. So that's an instance. And as opposed to, oh, no, we want your search to take a long time and take hours, we want it to be as effective as possible to get you to the right person, which is part of the reason why it's search and communication, and then use that as a way of accelerating how you can do business.
Now, you added Q&A. I know that was a long time ago, but that was one way to at least keep them on the site for a while. So is there a different change in terms of what you want to do with people? You don't want them... Q&A was a way...
Yes,
really
and actually Answers, we call it LinkedIn Answers. Answers is still very active because the way that we conceptualize what value LinkedIn brings to every professional is basically the information and the people that you need in order to be effective day by day. Right? So part of that, the answers part, is outbound searching for information. So I ask a question when, for example, I personally asked the question of, well, where should LinkedIn put its European headquarters? Because I was curious, like I'd never established a European headquarters before, and I'm smart, I know about labor law and taxes and so forth, but what are the other issues? And like, for example, one thing that didn't occur to me was number of direct flights between Mountain View, San Francisco and there, as a useful way of measuring what the connectivity is. And a bunch of other factors occurred out of asking that question. So we continue to elaborate when it's finding people or finding information, either inbound or outbound, to give personal business intelligence to every professional. And some of those are free, because that's a great way of adding value and having a relationship with members, and some of those are premium.
Let's talk about some of the groups you talked about. I think CNBC is one of the initiatives, perhaps. I know you mentioned it on stage.
Applications out of the platform. And part of what happened is CNBC decided that they wanted to have more of a business professional online presence. So all of their talent has profiles, they ask questions on LinkedIn, and then also they run polls where, for example, part of CNBC's breaking business news, and so they say, okay, what do professionals think about this, this issue, this topic, this breaking news event, and they can run that poll very quickly on LinkedIn and get very deep information that they can slice of, well, people in this industry believe this, people in this country or this region believe this, that sort of thing, as a way of having interactivity, and then it gives business professionals a way of expressing their voice in a way that a collective voice can be heard on CNBC.
Now, is that a cool marketing campaign, or is that something where you see you can replicate that with other publishing sites and media organizations where you could actually monetize something like that?
Our plan is business content is one of the things that professionals consume. So our plan is to help professionals use their network and ability to share information both between them in a network and within groups in order to get the right information that they kind of need to be looking at today and so forth from across the web. And so we plan on doing that both with our groups initiative and with the platform initiative in terms of building apps in and enabling that relevance of information. So we plan on doing other partnerships like it. We also have a partnership with the New York Times. We have a partnership with Business Week. There's a sequence of these that we actually have done and things that we're working on.
And they pay you?
No, actually.
So it's a good...
Well, so from our perspective, I mean, the two deals are different by each of the deals, and when there's sometimes when there's mutual economics generated, it's shared. But our principal angle right now that we look at this is how do we add value to the LinkedIn member?
Okay. Last question before we jump into entrepreneurship. So, what happens to LinkedIn in a couple of years? You mentioned on stage that the economy is going to be down in the dumps for a couple of years, so perhaps no IPO for LinkedIn just yet. But what's your goal? Do you want it to go IPO? Where do you see LinkedIn going? Sorry,
this sounds a little bit like a record. I care most about the growth of LinkedIn as value for its ecosystem, and literally everything else is a secondary question. So. Sure. I've gone on the record before saying, look, we have no immediate terms for an IPO, even though our economics are very good. And the reason is because as a private company, I can invest in the 2 to 3 year time frame and horizon and put everything into building a better and better product for our end users. And that's what we've been doing and we've been focusing on as a way of making that happen. I think that the future will be as we get more and more professionals in, we become more and more relevant for staying up to date for each professional, so we hope to be accelerating to be relevant to every professional around the globe. We're going to just ask you 3 questions about entrepreneurs.